Well, hello, everybody, and greetings from the beautiful Florida Keys. I'm actually here, and we're thrilled to be actually hanging with my dear pal, Mr. Fraser Nivens. We're in Key Largo. Mr. Seven-time Emmy Award-winning cinematographer who's working hard, and I needed data. So I said, Frank, can I borrow your kitchen, living room, studio? And so we're here hosting this fantastic group of friends. And one of them that we got joining us today, you know, you meet a lot of special people in the world. Father Matthew Sweeting, who's become a dear friend over the past year. I think we've been honored to be working with Kay Smith and the Prime Minister's group. I think 22 times I've been back and forth to the Bahamas, doing our little part to help with the Bahamian community and all these amazing organizations try to recover from this aftermath of Hurricane Dorian even a year later. So on top of COVID, we're going to talk all about these layers and how that's affected tourism economy, which the Bahamas desperately depends on. And then on top of that, the church, New Providence Community Church, with Father Matthew Sweeting, who is such a special friend. And Father Matthew Sweeting, thank you so much for joining us today from the Bahamas.
Thank you, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Yeah, well, you know what a hero you are to us. And we also have Matt Rain, who is our Director of Operations. Matthew's father, we want to put a shout out, who is also he is the CEO of Food for the Poor, another wonderful organization, $1 billion organization. I think your dad's in, 17 countries, Matt, as the CEO of Food for the Poor. And Food for the Poor gave a couple $1 million in solar panels and chassis to our good friend Gina Knowles and Kay Smith, Father Matthew. So Food for the Poor, big shout out for Ed and Matt, his handsome son, who's now on board with us full-time, Mission Resolve. And then we have the lovely Amanda Martin, who is always putting all these great people together. Hi, Amanda, Director of Communications, is joining us today. So Amanda and Matt have put together some wonderful slides to tell this story. So Joe Farrell, co-founder with me in Mission Resolve, who is just such a kind and caring person. He had an employee that this story that we're going to talk about today ties directly into, who passed away and left in Joe's stewardship some money that Joe was really passionate about helping, as he always is, people. I mean, he's just such a special bird, Mr. Farrell. So Joe, shout out to you. I know you're on Nantucket helping high school kids out with coastal erosion projects and all that. With they've got labs, Father Matthew, that are tied into the high school, and the kids are out there worried about coastal resilient communities, and that's go, Joe. But Joe got this money from a former employee who passed away. It was about $80,000, and it was in his will said, I'd like to do something good for the world. So Joe knew that the Bahamas needed forklifts, and it was pallet jacks, Amanda, right? Forklifts and pallet jacks. So Joe went out and bought these pallet jacks and forklifts. And the first place they went was to the Bahamas to help the community out. So this happened all during Dorian with our relief efforts there. And so when Father Matthew and I talked recently, Father Matthew, you mentioned one of the big things that you needed help with right now was a forklift. Yes. So we were thrilled with working with Kay Smith and getting one of those forklifts now, donated it to your good work to help you guys out for a while. You have one of these great forklifts doing great work at New Providence Community Church. So do you want to say hi, talk to everybody about what the forklift is doing and how it ties into the great families and volunteers you have? And anybody, as we watch through this, what I know you guys need, and you can see the ticker on the screen, is if you want to go to the website and donate directly to support Father Matthew and this amazing church, all through this broadcast, we'll be showing that ticker, Father Matthew. So tell people about the great work you're doing, how they can help, and what is going on with your wonderful ministry and the great work you're doing. Go ahead, say hi.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, for us, it started 18 years ago. Traditionally, we were a hurricane shelter. And so for the last 18 years, that's how we've been focusing on managing storms in this part of the world. But that changed about 3 years ago with Hurricane Irma. We were undergoing a lot of change in our country. That was the very first hurricane in any generation in the Bahamas where we actually started airlifting people from other islands. And so the Prime Minister called us one day. He knew he had a shelter here, and he says, can you take 5 islands in your building? And of course, we said yes, not really realizing at the time how much work that was going to be. But, we just had to figure out how to care for that much people. And looking back now, I realized that Hurricane Irma really was preparation for Hurricane Dorian. But like Patchy was talking about, when someone gives us something as simple as a forklift, the reason that matters so much to our organization is we're really the only independent hurricane shelter in the country. So we're not really federally funded. And so that pretty much means that every time hurricane season starts, we raise our own money. We manage our own warehouses. If we're giving out food, that always comes through donations and the generous patrons of people who just kind of come around and say, what do you need for this time? The signature of that changes for each storm. But at the end of the day, you know, it's just given us a great opportunity to build robust relationships with people here.
Hey, Father Matthew, while you're talking about robust, because I know Matthew, and by the way, the other Matt Rain, who's our producer of all this, is doing this live while we're, thank you, Matt, for this robust church you have, which has a restaurant in it and a gym and daycare. I mean, I've been there several times, Father Matthew. I got to tell you, it's like a life center beyond a church and a ministry. Talk to people about what this place is and what it does, not only in hurricanes, but what it means to the community and all this great work you're doing when you use that robust word. Everyone's looking at your church right now, which is a big, beautiful building.
Yeah, we sit on about 10 acres of land. We have a lot of big ideas for the future as well. But the building that people are looking at right now, we wanted to be the first church in the country to not build a church. And so even though, yes, it is a functional hurricane shelter, when we're not in storm season, it's a community center. And the philosophy behind that, quite simply, was to build a home for everybody else. And so we open our doors sometimes at 7 a.m. in the morning. On a busy weekend, we're sometimes closing this building at 3 a.m. the next day. And so we created a home for other organizations to move in and for them to facilitate their own vision. So that was practically unheard of in the Bahamas. And it's given us a chance just to build some really beautiful relationships with people, because we have, like, for instance, the banking sector meets here, the insurance sector, a lot of corporate Bahamas that does a lot of their training are looking for a facility with Airlift. We're about 5 minutes from the airport. They fly in their instructors, even though people from the Bahamas actually come in to attend these seminars. And then we work with a lot of civic groups, humanitarian organizations, schools, anyone, once again, who has a vision. They have a clientele. The one thing they don't have is a facility. And so we've had thousands of organizations over the last 2 decades. They pretty much move in, and when they're finished their event, they move out. But it's given us just a chance to serve. And part of our mission statement is we're a community of communities. So just like that old adage in Africa, it takes a village. This is a real village here. You never know who you're going to see in the building on a given week. And now that we're dealing with, you know, the weekly feedings, just a lot of groups are in and out all the time, bringing product, helping us ship, at the same time, just meeting new friends, building great networks and relationships. So this building gets a lot of use. We have to spend a lot of time and energy just maintaining it, but it's a beautiful place where people can come. And when hurricanes come, I think it's so important, because historically in the Bahamas, we've never really had like a hub, if you want to call it that, where groups like Rotary or groups like Head Knowles or even corporate groups can come under one roof. And we try to make that available. There really is no room that's not being used when you get a big storm coming through. Some of the groups that come in, their purpose will be to help us mobilize a few thousand people a day, just to make sure that no one is standing around. And even with Dorian, we were able to get stuff in the same day and ship it out at the same end of the business day with the help of all these organizations. So we have a lot of people equity. It's not just about people making donations. It's about people saying, well, here's a better way to work. And we've always benefited by being collaborative. So that's the beauty of this place.
And I've seen, Father Matthew, I've seen when you really are a catalyst. So when the incredible work like Barry Rassin, who's just such an amazing human being with Rotary International, and people like Gina Knowles with Head Knowles, you mentioned a lot of these people who, in the time of need, when it needs to be like a war room and a command center and the coordination of all these efforts with the NGOs, your particular church just transforms itself into mission control with the ability to coordinate all these different efforts. And I got to commend you for that, because the role that you guys play, and anybody who's watching these streams, if you want to really support a fantastic organization, we have their website there. Please go directly to the church's website, donate directly to Father Matthew and his team to support what they're doing. So it's not only the hurricane relief, but everything they're doing for families and single mothers, and what they're doing right now for the housing. I think right now your next goal with this COVID layer, on top of the recovery side of Dorian, on top of what's going on with the jobs and the economic impact of Dorian for the tourism-based economy like the Bahamas, There are so many layers of the Bahamas really suffering right now. And with your work, Father Matthew, with all these great organizations that you help as a catalyst to bring together, we're just thrilled to support you any way we can. And I can encourage all the listeners that this particular church, NPCC, New Providence Community Church, is just absolutely fantastic. So the next step of this, with things like the forklifts and this next wave of relief, which is still Dorian centric, but now kind of getting into the next level with COVID, what do you see the next couple stages for the community, and how can people help, and where would that money go if they make donations to you right now, to your church on the website?
Well, thank you so much for asking that question. That's a great question. The beautiful thing about this conversation is we were able to take from September till present day, just putting all our systems in place. So currently, if people want to come and view in person what we're doing, we take them to a few different facilities. One of them is our big warehouse on the other side of the island. So we just to even handle the relief and the support that was required for evacuees, we had to put all that stuff in place, from staffing to PR to admin to people who actually do the intake and handle the shipping for us. So it's a finely oiled machine to actually add this initial process right now, starting to feed families impacted by COVID. Doesn't require too much more from us in that respect, because we're using the same warehouse, the same manpower, the same trucks, forklifts, and even all of the shipping channels we have here coming out of South Florida. The biggest need really is financial support, because purely because the numbers just jump by the week.
Yeah.
And if you look at this conversation from a historical point of view, we've never seen this many unemployed people ever in the history of the Bahamas.
Wow.
And, you know, right now they're saying by October, November this year, that's when the hotels may be opening up again.
Yeah.
But what we've come to understand, even if you look at the cruise ship industry, is that doesn't really mean that the numbers are coming back, you know, that early. We may not have those kind of numbers till 2021 or beyond, which means a lot of people still won't get employment as quickly as they need it. And so we realize at this point, we can't just focus on feeding evacuees. We're just going to have to take care of the thousands of people right now that, you know, need to be fed and also need to pay their rent. And so we're going to focus on that as long as it takes. We're watching all the stuff, you know, happening in the news. We stay dialed in with the Prime Minister's office, so they're telling us what's coming next down the pipeline. Yeah. But the largest feeling right now in our country is it's going to be a while. Yeah. We're going to have to just keep feeding people for at least for the next 6 months, and that's going to be our intention. When people donate to us, that gives us a chance to purchase our food on a weekly basis. We're not just bringing in food from South Florida. We also support the local economy. Mm-hmm. We buy directly from farmers, which has been fantastic, which allows us to give fresh fruits and vegetables, not just, you know, boxed groceries. And then we also offer fresh bread, things like that you couldn't really typically get in this type of operation, which allows us to buy from the local bakers as well as, you know, local retailers. So it's been great just to kind of put a lot of that money back into the economy as well. But if you ever shopped in the Bahamas, we're now the 4th most expensive country in the world, economists are saying. Wow. So $50 in the grocery store doesn't get you as far as it did when your parents were growing up. Mm-hmm. So it takes a lot of money to even support the local economy, even if we're shipping in a lot of it, you know. And so it's all about sustainability, as you know, and resiliency. We're just going to have to just make sure that everything stays the way it is. And the way that we do that is just, you know, partnerships with local and foreign entities.
Yeah. So the Bahamas, because this extraordinary relationship we have between South Florida and the Bahamian, and this has been a blessing to meet you, Father Matthew, and work so closely with you over the course of the year. And I got to tell you, our friendship means so much to me with you and Walter, who is, you know, your magic sauce there. I met him in the warehouse, sweaty, and with his passion from day one. So part of the Bahamian story, and I got to thank Fraser, who's hosting me today, so I'd have data. It was 40 years ago on Rum Cay in the Bahamas as a young dive instructor that I got my first job from Fraser over there editing. He's editing away. So this particular relationship with you, if you want to come full circle, say hi to everybody. There's Fraser Nivens.
Hi everybody.
Yeah. Hi Fraser.
Yeah.
I used to go to your church.
Yeah. How about that?
I recognize you, dude.
Yeah. No. So this is how small the world is, just so everybody knows the connections of the family. Stuart Cove, who's dear friends with Fraser and owns Stuart Cove, and probably the finest diving operation in the Bahamas. He's a rock star. He was the one that introduced us to you, Father Matthew, through his former wife, who goes to your church.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's funny how small this world is, but if you talk about how passionate we all are about supporting the Bahamas and how people can help, obviously with COVID, one of the easiest things, to your point, is if we can't all get on boats now and planes and cruise ships, thanks to O'Neill Cosa with Grand Paradise Cruise Lines that helped us come over and evacuate people. That particular phase is not available now. So money and getting your church the support that you guys need is so important at the website below. Also, just while we're on it, in terms of the Bahamas, and we have to thank the Red Cross, who gave us a $2.2 million grant with our wonderful friends at Mercy Corps. It actually went to Mercy Corps, and we're partners with them on a fresh water project that we're still providing fresh water, which is about to wrap up now. Amanda, tell everybody quickly, and even so Father Matthew knows, because we want to thank Mercy Corps and Red Cross for the support of Grand Bahama and the fresh water program. Give everybody just a quick update on that as we wrap that up so that they know, and explain that to Father Matthew so he gets the update.
So as soon as right after the hurricane hit, we teamed up with Mercy Corps to provide fresh water. We put in reverse osmosis units, and we ended up increasing the production to up to 15,000 gallons of water a day, and we continued producing that water until actually yesterday was the last day, and now we're handing it over to the Bahamas Utility Company to continue that production of water for the community. But it's been a whole year since the hurricane hit and since we've been providing water. So it was a great honor to be able to work with them and do that for the community.
And we got to thank you, Amanda, because there's so much over the course. It's been a whole year we've been doing that program. We have to thank Red Cross. Barbara Corey, who's the chair of our philanthropic division, who worked with Red Cross for 7 years, was very instrumental in coordinating that grant. And again, thanks to Joe at Resolve Marine Group and the team, Aaron and all that put that together with Mercy Corps. So this is just an example of the good work that keeps going on, Father Matthew. And with your help, you and people like Gina and Barry Rassin, all you guys are just like Energizer bunnies who never stop helping people. So we're really honored and to play a small part in helping your church any way we can. Huge fans. We love you so much, brother, and blessings to you and your amazing ministry. If you'd like to support the church, please go to the website below, donate generously. I can promise you, if you give to Father Matthew and his group, every penny of that will go to helping amazing kids. And the next step is, I think you said 4 months, 700 families you're trying to support. What's this next phase as we wrap up, Father Matthew?
Yeah, we're going to do feeding programs for the next 6 months for sure, because by that time your giving cycles run out and you start another giving cycle.
Yeah.
So by that time we'll rev up for the spring and summer of 2021. Mm-hmm. But we're focusing on feeding and doing housing for the next 6 months at least.
Fantastic.
So yeah, the numbers are unbelievable. It just is a reminder on a weekly basis that you can't pull back on the throttle. Mm-hmm. This is really an airplane that cannot land. You fuel in the air and you just keep on going. We're very excited about the future. We had this little dream 18 years ago to build a bunker, and it's just gotten so much use. Our staff used to be trained here that even if a plane crashes in the Bahamas, we were trained to deal with that as well and to work with the coroners and the medical community. So it's been an exciting run for us in the future. We're building some big dreams moving forward. One day we're probably going to build a bigger facility here. We've got 10 acres of land. We want to be the first out of the gate to build a command center. And I think that's going to be really exciting, because if I can create a home for all the people that you just mentioned in today's phone call, free of charge, where you just come under one roof for every disaster, that's our next big dream coming down the pipe. And because it doesn't exist in the country. And so if that's our way of kind of serving our country, we're going to be excited to be a part of that.
Well, you are setting the bar daily, my friend, in terms of the wonderful work. So please give generously. Go directly to the church's website below. Also, I know all the good work that you continue to do with the entire Bahama community. Ken Hutton, who's a dear friend, the head of the Chamber of Commerce on Abaco, that is still reeling from Dorian. Father Matthew is continually kind of serving as a catalyst with him, the amazing work that Gina's doing, and Barry Rassin and Will Tomlinson and Bahamas Strong with Kirsten and Susan. Just amazing people. So if you want to really get involved in supporting the Bahamas and be in the center of it, I can promise you that Father Matthew, his work, his ministry really is just so special. And Father Matthew, we thank you for the time today. Thrilled to support you any way we can. Thank you, Amanda and Matt, for producing and being on at the same time. You see him looking to the right because he's heavy lifting with all the production stuff. So thank you, everybody. Please give generously at the link below and give us a like and a thumbs up. Have a blessed day. And Father Matthew, I will circle back with you soon and hopefully see your smiling face in the Bahamas when they allow us to come back and visit.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Love
man.
you, everybody. Blessings.
Thanks,
Okay.
everybody.
Bye, everybody. Rock
Cheers.
on. Go New Providence Community.